Hi, everybody that's joining us. Welcome along this morning. We won't stop properly for a second. I'm just watching the attendees tick up while people join the webinar. So it can just take a few seconds for everybody to get in. So we won't start properly yet while I'm just watching these numbers tick up.
Coming in thick and fast now, aren't they?
Are coming in thick and fast. And some names I recognise as well. Hi, Amy. Hello. Oh, Richard's there. Oh, look, you're all piling in. It's going too quick for me to see.
I was thinking the same.
Yeah, trying to say hello to everybody's name that I recognise. They're just coming into thick and fast. Sorry if I'm ignoring you. I'm not leaving anybody out. Everybody's coming in. So you feel free to use the chat box to say hello to us and introduce yourself if you want to. We don't want to feel like we're talking to no one. So feel free to chat away with us in the chat box. If there's something you're saying, just to us, use the panelists option in the drop down. If you want to say something for the whole group to see, make sure you change it to everybody. Yes, Amy, it worked. We've got your test chat.
You think we'd all be good at technology by November 2020, wouldn't you? We're still getting there.
a little bit of practice with Zoom this year, haven't we?
Yeah.
Right, it looks as though everybody's in, I think. So we'll make a start. There might be a few more people that join us as we go, but that's fine. So I know most of you that are in here. I think you all know, most of you will know both of us, but just in case, I'm Kelly. So I'm one of the directors of Lawrence Dean, and I'm running the webinar today with Sophie, who's the managing consultant on our temps desk. I feel a bit silly in some ways running a LinkedIn webinar. Like, who are we to think we know all this stuff about LinkedIn?
It's a bit late now.
But we're off. All joking apart, we really have learned a lot about LinkedIn this year. Whether it's a blessing or a curse, we've been thrown in at the deep end and really had to try and make our mark on there. And we've done so pretty successfully. And that's been a mixture of trial and error. We've been on training courses. We've connected with some real kind of leading figures who've been successful in growing their own businesses through LinkedIn. And managed to quite successfully grow an audience there and build business off the back of that. So hence we wanted to share some of what we've learned with you, but use this really as an interactive forum. There is no such thing as a question that's too silly. Trust me, we would have asked the same question at some point. We'll try and answer stuff as we go. If not, we'll do a Q&A wrap up at the end. So I will pass you over to Sophie.
Brilliant, thank you. Right, this is where we test the technology again.
The scary bit.
Oh, you need to let me share my screen. Sorry, Kelly.
Okay, there we go. See, that was my first test for you. There you go. You should have it now.
There we go.
Bear with us, everybody.
And we will try and keep this as quick and interactive as possible. We appreciate it's lunchtime, so you're probably all dying to have your lunch. We really
eating because no one can see them. They're all eating.
That's the beauty, isn't it? We can't see them. We hope you are anyway. Thank you so much for joining us at lunchtime. Appreciate it's sometimes not always the best time to be able to join us. We really want to make today's session as interactive as possible. Myself and Kelly have been on a lot of webinars this year, and there's nothing worse than sort of sitting back thinking, oh, I really wanted to ask a question, or I wanted them to cover something in particular. So I can't stress enough, please do ask questions, ask them in the Q&A, and then we won't miss them in there. But to start with, I would really like you to have a think about what you'd like us to cover today. We've obviously got a running order planned, but as I say, if there's anything that you've got a burning desire to ask now, please just take a couple of moments just to have a think, pop that in the Q&A, and then we'll make sure that we cover that later for you. Anything we don't cover, we can of course contact us on a one-to-one basis. So I'll give you just a moment just to have a think about anything that you want to cover. Just pop it in the Q&A box.
Like we said, there's no question too silly. Please don't feel this is definitely a platform that's, you know, a safe zone for whether you've been using LinkedIn for a while or whether you're a complete novice and don't know where to start. That's the beauty of this session. That's what it's for. So go ahead and pop anything in there. We might jump in as we go. We might wrap them up at the end, depending on if you ask a question and I know we're already covering it, then I'll leave it till the end. But yeah, as Sophie said, pop them in the Q&A rather than the chat. Then we won't miss them. If you all get chatty in the chat box, we don't want to lose the questions. So yeah.
Brilliant. Right, fab. I would just like to start with a couple of polls. So just some quick participation from you. again, just for us to get a sense of people's level of how often they're using LinkedIn on here, what they're using it for. So again, as I say, we want to make this as interactive as possible. So you'll be able to answer the poll on your screen quickly. So Kelly will share that with you.
Okay, bear with me. It's a technical challenge. We're going for it. There you go. It's on the screen now.
So just a very quick, how often do you use LinkedIn? So there's a few answers there. Just go with the closest. It doesn't need to be accurate.
This is exciting. It's like watching like a live, like watching the election results come in. The bars moving, all the numbers changing. You're nearly.
And we'll share the results immediately, so we'll all get a good sense of how often people are on the platform.
There's a few of you that still haven't voted. I've got 80% of people that have voted. There's still a few more that haven't. Those last stragglers, taking a while to make your mind up. Don't overthink it. Just chat them in. Oh, it looks like a couple of people. I can't see the polls. It might be your settings in Zoom. We'll share the results of them afterwards. It looks like a couple of you can't see them. I'm really sorry about that. The majority can, so it looks like it's going out okay. It might be worth just, if you can, just check your settings on Zoom to see if you set that you can see polls or not. Okay, right. I'll end the poll there though, so we can see. So there you go. You should have those results on your screen now. Can you see them, Sophie?
There's a real mixture there. Yeah, really nice mixture of you actually. So the majority of the people on the webinar are using it every day, which is great. So just under 40%. And then there's a real divide between a couple of times a day, a couple of times a week, and then less than once a week. So that's great. So everything we're going to cover today it's almost very much beginner's level. I'm just going to reshare my screen, Kelly. Sorry, I think that the poll kicks me out.
It's okay.
There we go.
I can't see your screen, Sophie.
There we go. That should be back on now. So as I say, everything's going to be very much beginner level today. So if there is anything that you think, oh, that's really obvious, again, we just want to cover everything for everyone. Anything you want to ask us at the end, then please do. So just to start, I'd just like you to connect with two of the greatest influencers on LinkedIn that I've certainly come across. There we go. Oh, it's me and Kelly. No, but in all seriousness, me and Kelly are very, very active on LinkedIn. As a business, we have found it to just be such a great tool for us. It's just been incredible, the amount of people that I talk to for the first time and, you know, never had anything to do with it before. And the first thing they'll say is, oh, I've seen you and your colleagues on LinkedIn. So I think that's something for everyone to remember, regardless of how well you think your posts are doing with likes and comments and interaction. If you are on there and you're active, people are seeing you, and that general awareness really is happening. So don't take that for granted.
I look terrified in that picture.
Oh, right.
That's the picture of me the day that you suggested let's do a LinkedIn webinar. And then you put a picture of my face as you did it. I need a new LinkedIn photo.
We'll talk about pictures afterwards, Kelly. So you can go to that slide.
Bad example.
So yeah, please do. There's our contact details there. We'll obviously share them with you afterwards, but you can scan from your smartphone on your camera. Everyone's probably quite familiar with the QR codes this side of the year, but that will send you straight to our LinkedIn profile. So please do connect that way. Right, let's talk to you about the running order of today's session. So we will be covering what is LinkedIn and what are the benefits of using it. Talk to you about the importance of updating your profile and the fact that it's not just somewhere that says your name and where you work. There's actually a lot more to your profile. So I'll talk you through that, how to build your network and gain new connections, engaging with others online and the importance of why you do that. And then we'll talk to you about content inspiration. We'll chuck in some hashtag tips in there. I think that's probably the section that most people ask us about. I think people have a general idea of what LinkedIn, what it is, what it does. But the bit where they stumble is the content inspiration. So we'll talk to you in detail about that and help with some thoughts going forward. We'll talk you through some quick do's and don'ts, and then we'll end with a quick Q&A. So what is LinkedIn? And again, apologies if anybody thinks this is really quite obvious. I just want to talk to you in a bit more detail about what the site is. So everyone knows it's a professional networking site. You do see lots of comments this year about people reminding us it's absolutely not Facebook and it's absolutely not Instagram. We like to ignore those people. We do. And I think LinkedIn is a great place. And again, we'll talk to you about this in a bit more detail, but I noticed somebody's already asked about the kind of tone on LinkedIn to have. That is purely dependent on who you are and how you want your profile to look. I don't think you need to be too serious on the site. You know, I think that a lot of the businesses that are on the call today we're not, you know, talking real corporate London banks. You know, we don't all wear a 3-piece suit to work. LinkedIn is a great place to showcase your personality. So that's absolutely what you should be doing on the site.
Yeah.
So it was launched in 2003, and LinkedIn themselves employ over 16,000 people from their 33 worldwide offices. So hopefully that just gives you some idea of the scope of actually how big this platform is. So they've got 250 million active users across the world. So there's a difference between people who actually have a LinkedIn page and people who are actively on it. So when we asked you the question a minute ago with how active you are on it, anyone that uses it at all counts within this stat. So again, huge numbers. And then 3 million of those people actually post content weekly. So not only are they on the site, they're actually posting content. So some quick fun facts that aren't that fun. But again, just to show you the scope of where the LinkedIn users are across the world. I know a lot of the companies on the call today might trade with other companies or have offices across the world. Again, this just goes to show you how many people are using it across the world itself. And then this is a really interesting stat. This came from LinkedIn themselves, actually. But in terms of generating traffic through to blogs and website pages, over 90% of that traffic comes from the big 3 networks. So Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And over half of it does come from LinkedIn. So again, it just shows you how powerful the platform is to get people offline in a sense and into actually where you want them to be, which is on your own websites and your own blog pages. So again, just shows you the importance of that. Mm-hmm. The benefits of using it, you know, they're quite obvious, and we appreciate there's different job titles, different departments that are on the call. And everybody wants to use LinkedIn for completely different purposes. For us as a business, it's all about our brand awareness. We want people who are local to know who we are, what we do. We want to attract people to us, to work for us in the future. So it can be used for all manner of reasons, the platform. The main one being that it's free. So everything that we'll cover today is included on the basic free version. We've trialed several times the paid premium LinkedIn, and we, you know, personally, we don't find that it's any better. All the functionalities that we use are on the free one. So we'd suggest that everybody does the same. As I said, it massively increases your company and personal brand awareness. The fact that you can have a separate profile from the actual company that you work for is brilliant, because you can show off both your corporate side from your company page, but also much more personal on your personal one. Obviously tells everyone what your business does, shows you're an expert in your field. That's a really important one. I think often people who are kind of influencers within the world or on LinkedIn, you very quickly understand what they do for a living, and it's massively through their content that they post. So we'll talk to you about in a bit more detail about how you can utilize that. It's a great way to connect with individuals. They might do the same job as you, they might work for the same company and actually be colleagues of yours. So I'll show you kind of how you can find those people online in a moment, but it's really important to make sure that you have people that are like-minded to you on your feed. You'll know that you're going to have common interests with those people. It's actually a great way to keep an eye on your competitors as well, which is not normally the done thing that you'd kind of condone doing, but it's a great way to actually support your competitors, which, you know, I do massively online. There's a lot of competitors to us locally. It's great to share content. It's great to engage with each other online. And those people are genuinely going through the same as you at the moment, because we're all in the same industry. So it can be a really powerful way.
If you've got a broad enough network that includes, you know, prospects, clients, competitors, yeah. Sorry, I'm using recruitment language, but, you know, people you do deal with, people you want to deal with, people you've worked with in the past. It's just I find that when I'm more active on LinkedIn, I just have better market awareness. I just know what's going on in our market a lot more, whether that's getting ideas of things that we could improve upon from what others are doing.
Just it's really powerful.
A bit more.
It really is. And then ultimately, the most important benefit of using it is that it will generate inbound inquiries. And again, that doesn't necessarily have to be sales for your business. That could be people wanting to work for you, people wanting to buy your product, introduce new products for you. Regardless of what you're looking to use the platform for, when you do it well and you do it consistently, you will generate inbound inquiries from this. So again, just to not to bore you with the kind of sales stats of how that works, there's a couple of people on the call that I know work within sales, but it's interesting to remind ourselves of the general buying cycle. So again, kind of forget this in a common you're selling your product sense, but just it's interesting to think about the awareness stage. So if you want people to contact you, whether that be for jobs, for your products, they need to be aware of you in the first place. So this is where LinkedIn ties in really, really well with that. It's a great platform to get yourself out there, get your business out there, and to advertise yourself and your colleagues' skills. So it's really interesting just to remind yourself of that general business cycle. And just in comparison from how I suppose 2020 works, for a few years now, I think sales massively has turned much more into social selling. So, you know, the old school cold calling, whilst it absolutely still works in certain industries, I think we are definitely moving to a model now where people are they've been made aware of you online, whether that be through your website, through your social media pages, and then that's how they've entered your buying cycle. So again, it's just a great way to get people to be aware of you and know who you are. So we'll go straight into the updating your profile. So again, as I said before, the importance of this is your profile is so much more than your name, where you work, your picture. It basically is what people will use to search for you. So you need to make sure there's keywords and stuff like that in there. So I'll use mine as an example because it's a shining example. So professional profile picture. So this picture probably took 200 takes from my husband, I think. After about 3 glasses of wine, I think that's when this happened. So it just goes to show you can do a professional profile picture in a silly setting. But this is really important. I think my previous profile picture was a lot closer, and I had some advice from a webinar that I went on recently, and they said, actually, you need to have one that's kind of shoulders upwards. You know, it needs to be a lot closer. You see often people profile picture, they might have their partner in there or their friends on a night out, and it's hard to know which one you're talking to because there's multiple people in the picture. So it sounds silly, but just make sure your profile picture is as clear and up to date as possible, and wear what you like, you know, wear what is suitable to the job that you do in there. You don't necessarily have to be in a suit. It's about you and who you are and what you want people to see. Company banner. Now, I appreciate some companies may have either marketing or HR restrictions on what they can actually put on their LinkedIn sites. A professional banner is just such a great way. It's a massive advertisement behind your face, basically. So when people like your content, they're likely to click through to your profile straight away from my banner. You can very clearly see that I work within recruitment, I work within Hertfordshire, and they're the sectors that I support with, and my telephone number's on there. So the importance of having a professional banner are just priceless for people to see who you are and what you do. And we'll talk to you about some tools to be able to make a free one afterwards as well. So they're very easy to put together and make.
And I think it's something we've really learned this year, isn't it? In that, in a shift in the type of content we're producing. If you want your content to be interesting, and we'll talk about content a bit more later, but if you want your content to be interesting and engaging, the quickest way to kill that would be if I started every video with, hi, I'm Kelly from Lawrence Dean, and we recruit within Hertfordshire doing temporary and permanent staff within customer service. You'd have all, so what, who cares? You'd have shut that down before I even got to the end of my introduction. I have to say that anymore, because if you like my content, you'll click on my profile and then you'll see right above my head what we do. So I don't have to bore everybody on LinkedIn with it every single time I post content. By the way, we're a recruitment agency. If you are engaged with me and you like what I've posted, you'll click on my profile and my profile will tell you what we do, because we've got that full banner, which is why I think it's so important.
And it's ironic, isn't it? A lot of our content, some of you may already follow our company pages or our personal ones. Quite often we're not talking about recruitment, which is really ironic. And we'll talk to you about that in a content sense in a moment. But that is why it's so important, because sometimes you're talking about something completely different just to engage your audience. But the minute they click through to your profile, they very clearly see who you are and what you do. Your headline, which is just underneath your name, so you can edit that in your settings. Again, this is complete personal preference. Some people would have a sentence in there to say, I'm hiring in Stevenage, if you're a recruiter or a managing director. This basically is the main headline. People could search for you. They can also search for you via your job title as well, which I'll show you in a moment. But just make sure that that's clear. I think location is quite important in there. But again, that is completely dependent on what industry you're in and what you want people to see. Company info, so in the contact info there you can put your company website, your phone number. Again, people might not want to put work numbers and emails in there, because you trust me, you can get inundated with people sending you messages all the time. But I think having your company website in there is quite powerful for people then to automatically be taken away from LinkedIn and get to where you want them to be, basically. And then the about section, again, this is completely personalized to you. Mine is really quite personal. It talks about the fact that I spend my time in London eating and drinking, which is what I do. Again, it's dependent on the type of business you work for. Mine can be quite personal to me. Some people's does need to be, you know, slightly more corporate. So again, that's complete personal preference as to what you want that to show. So updating your profile, so just some other bits of your profile just to highlight. So just underneath the top section, which I've just showed you, you'll have your featured section. So this is where you can pin some of your best content, basically. So for people to refer back to when they come onto your page, this will be right at the top. So if you were a company that wanted to advertise products, you might pin a particular product post that your company's posted. If you're a recruiter, you could post top jobs that you've advertised for your company. The choices are endless, really, but this is just a great way to highlight those at the top of your page, and you can change them in and out as much as you like once you start posting new content. Experience, so just make sure that that's up to date. It's entirely up to you whether you have a big blurb about what your duties are within a business. It's just important to make sure that your titles and your dates are as up to date as possible, and ideally the fact that you're connected to your company with their logo there as well. That's a nice way for people then to directly click through to your company that you work for. Recommendations, this is entirely up to you whether you use them. I personally don't use them that often on LinkedIn. I don't think they're particularly powerful in the industry that we work within, but I do appreciate there'll be other industries on the call that might benefit from them. You can ask people to give you a recommendation quite easily through Messenger, and people can obviously give you one. You just accept it and then it goes onto your profile. So if anybody wants any further help with asking or receiving those, then ask me afterwards. And that's the same with endorsements at the bottom. Again, I don't tend to use them. I think once you start advertising that you want people to give you endorsements, it can have a little bit of a TripAdvisor effect, and you find that there's complete strangers that suddenly endorse you for things that they've never used you for in the past. So again, complete personal preference there. So how connections are linked. So apologies if this bit is a bit basic, but I think lots of people are probably still confused about what first, second and third connections mean on LinkedIn. So this is basically a visual guide to show you. So you are in the middle. Oh, sorry, clicked off there. So you're in the middle. I'm connected directly to Kelly, so she would be a first stage connection for me. Someone who's connected with Kelly would then be my second connection because they're not directly linked to me, and then so on and so forth. That goes out like a huge spider's web. So whilst I absolutely maintain the advice that you want quality over quantity connections, the more people that you are directly connected to, the more that your content is going to reach through their second and third connections. So that is really important to highlight. And again, this is just quite a basic way to basically show you how that works. So you've got your first people are people that you really should know and be aware of. They're your friends of friends, and then third are strangers. So just gives you a bit of a visual representation there. So, and I think if you think about this in terms of the whole 60 degrees of separation rule in a business sense, you know, you literally could be 6 connections away from a prospect customer or a new employee, anyone that might be interested in your services. So again, just the importance of making sure you've got enough connections on there. So how to build your network and who to include. I think sometimes this is often where people can stumble on LinkedIn. You'll often find that you get random connection requests all the time from people that might not live in the same country, might do a completely different job. It's entirely up to you how you tailor the people that you're connected with. For your feed to, when you post content, for that to go out to the most relevant people, you want to really make sure that your connections fall into one of these 5 categories. So naturally, make sure you're connected with as many of your colleagues as possible so you can share and engage with their content. Your existing customers, again, that's real personal preference. We are actually quite open to connecting with some of our clients online. We think it's a great way to be able to promote their services and what they do and to support them online. But I appreciate from a competitor point of view, some people would struggle with that bit. So again, ask us advice on that later. Prospect customers is a great way. This is probably the most powerful platform to keep an eye on what people are doing, what they're selling, what their companies are up to. Is a great way to link what they're doing online back to an introductory call or an email to someone. You've already done your research. So, and there's a lot that goes on LinkedIn. You'll find from their personal pages, from their company pages. Is a great way to get to know someone before you actually meet them. Naturally, industry experts, so there's lots in our industry within the recruitment world, but naturally there will be within your worlds as well. So I'll show you in a moment how to search for those kind of people. And then to kind of take the seriousness away from it, don't be afraid to connect with people that make you laugh and that's content you enjoy. I think that's really, really important. I certainly get some of my best content from the people online that are, you know, slightly borderline silly. They're content that I really appreciate and admire, but I think it's important with LinkedIn to not get too stuck in with the, you know, the suited and booted type professional platform. I think it's got to showcase you and your personality. So you need to make sure you're connected with people that are actually going to inspire you to be able to do your own, basically.
Not to jump the gun too much there, just to jump in, so just chip in about this bit. I'll cover it again when we talk about content later, but I think what you just said is a really important point there. It's striking that balance between, you don't want a load of rubbish connections that are completely meaningless, but if you don't have enough connections, any content that you go to the trouble of producing isn't going to reach a wide enough audience to add any value. You need a broad enough pool of connections that enough people stand a chance at seeing your content. You want those people to be relevant, but relevant can fit into a lot of different categories on LinkedIn. It's really important to separate. It's not Facebook. These people don't actually have to be your real life friends, as in the true friend sense. There just needs to be a reason to connect. And those reasons that Sophie has put there are all really valid. And the last one is equally as valid as all the rest of them. People whose content you enjoy can brighten your day on LinkedIn. It can give you ideas, but actually it's a really important point, and it resonates with me. There's always that debate about it's not Facebook, it's not Instagram, but you're still talking to human beings. It's still a social platform. It might be a professional social platform, but it's still a social platform with human beings interacting. Who said that human beings can't have fun and be funny? And you'll see the content that gets the most engagement tends to have a kind of a fun slant on that. So someone's put in the Q&A box about how you strike the right tone, and we'll talk about that a lot more later. But you know, I really don't take that it's not Facebook police too seriously. If you're not having fun on there, then one, what's the point? But also, you know, people like to have fun, and if you want people to see your content, then don't be afraid to be a bit silly now and then.
Yeah, absolutely. It's okay not to be completely stuffy on LinkedIn. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So just some practical examples of how to build your network. And again, this might seem like quite a basic one, but I think with the basic functionalities of LinkedIn, sometimes people just rely on the fact that they're just going to search for people by name that they know. LinkedIn is amazing in terms of the search directory in there, if you like. So I'll just show you a quick video, which hopefully just shows you. So in the top search bar, you could either search by name, but you could just search your location. So I've typed in Stevenage, and then I'm going to click the people icon at the very top, and that is going to show me everyone's profile. So there's 130,000 results there from people who purely live in Stevenage. That's a great way to build your connections quickly. You might also want to search by your particular job title. So if you're a customer service manager, again, you can add location in there. This is going to bring you up a much more targeted list of people that do the same job as you in the same location. So again, a really nice way to narrow down the search results. And then, of course, you can search for people. I think I searched by company here. You can search for them directly by company. So if there's a prospect client that you're looking to work with, or an existing customer, you can search for them by name up here. And then all of their people will display in the people tab. So you can go, and again, you can connect with your colleagues in this way as well. So just make sure that you are connected with as many people as you can that way. Also building your connect work. God, that was a long word, wasn't it? I've made up one, I just did. You can also search, as I say, by job title and industry, but you can use the suggested connections. And I really like, I'm quite sad actually, I like to sit on LinkedIn at 9 o'clock on a Friday night, have a look through who might be
really sad.
It is really sad, but it's a great way to.
At the moment, there's nothing else you can do. Lockdown, you're excused.
Oh, I was doing it before lockdown. But again, just a quick visual representation of where you find those people. So at the very bottom, you've got the My Network tab. This was obviously done on a mobile, but you can do this on your desktop as well. and you can see the different headings that come up. So there's people I might know from groups that I'm in, people that follow different pages I might be interested in, people who are trending within my network. So this is a great way to find people who are in the same job titles, the same sectors, the same company. So make sure that you're utilizing that tab, because it will change all the time. So one minute you think you're connected with everyone on there, lots more will appear. So make sure that you're utilizing that. And then how to build your network, just a couple of other ideas for you. So follow company pages as well as individuals. So as I said, Lawrence Dean Recruitment has its own company page. Company pages, typically it's quite hard to get engagement on those, because you almost don't have faces behind the profile that we actually have when we do use our own personal profiles. But do follow companies as well, because then that will in turn, you'll see the people that work there, they'll start to post, and that will just feed into your news feed that comes through. Try and get into the habit as well of regularly connecting with people. I think LinkedIn is all about consistency. So we've all done this in the past, where we thought, right, I'm going to really be good on LinkedIn for the next couple of weeks. I'm going to be really active on there. And then you suddenly stop. I think that the key really is consistency with LinkedIn. You have to make it part of your normal daily routine. And again, this is dependent on the sort of industries you work in and how strict your timing needs to be. In the mornings, I will open up LinkedIn at exactly the same time I open my company database, my emails. It's just part of my working day, and you have to make it like that. So regularly get into naturally we can't do meetings at the moment, but after events like this, connect with people, and then you're going to start to see their stuff coming up much more often. And then this sounds a bit of a sad one, but we found that this really works for us. So especially if you manage a team and you want your team to start being much more active on LinkedIn, try and set yourself some goals. That's a great way to think, right, how strict have I been with LinkedIn this week? Have I managed to hit my goals? There's almost no excuse in having to find LinkedIn connections, because they're so easy to find. As I've just showed you, you can search location, their name, their company. So just set yourself some goals to be able to do that. So while we're on the note of growing your connections, we're just going to do another quick poll for you.
Bear with me. Oh no, hang on. Have you got the wrong poll again?
I have got the wrong poll.
Okay, hold on. Let's start this again. I'll have to quickly share the results. Talk amongst yourselves for a second, everybody. So how I get it to do the next one?
Don't worry.
Again, still ask how often you're using LinkedIn.
Still on that one.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know how.
Don't worry.
2 people have voted as well for that.
Sorry, everyone. We've asked you the same question again.
Oh, hold on. I know. I figured it out. I've got it. I'm back. Back in the room. Right, here we go. Hopefully this was worth waiting for.
Have you connected with us yet? So that's 2 new connections that you'll gain just from today's meeting. So
and I can see the results coming in. You're making me proud.
But yeah, please do if you haven't already. There's lots of our colleagues that work at Lawrence Dean as well. We are all very active on the platform, and would be really happy to kind of share and engage with your posts or your company posts. If you've ever written some content and thought, oh, I don't know if this is a bit, not appropriate for LinkedIn, just give us a call or an email. We'll be really happy to have a quick look for you.
And really don't be shy about that. If you've put a post on LinkedIn and you're not getting much engagement, just send us a message saying, do us a favour, put a comment on my post for me. We'll happily do that. That's the game. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. We're all about supporting the local businesses.
Just share the results there. You just about won with a minor majority of people. The rest of you need to, straight up.
We're going to ask you again at the end. No, we're not. We're joking. We're a bit stalkery now, aren't we? Right, we'll move on. So we've talked about kind of building your network and why that's important to be connected with as many relevant people as possible. The next stage that you need to get to is really start to engage with others online. This is so important, because if you're not posting your own content regularly, you can absolutely still be on people's radar by engaging with theirs. It's still going to show on everyone's feeds that you're being active on LinkedIn. You're showing people that you have an interest. People get to see who you are and what you do. Again, every time you connect or put a comment or a post or a like on someone's post, ultimately they're going to click through to your profile, and you've done the job then. They're then seeing who you are and what you do. It shows other people you genuinely have an interest as well. So this is great for either existing customers, new customers. This could be people that you want to headhunt to work for you, anything like that. This is just a great way to show them that you actually care, you've listened to what they're saying, and you wanted to go out of your way to make a comment. It gives you the opportunity to share an opinion as well. And I think this is such a controversial one. People often think, oh gosh, I mustn't say anything that's too controversial on LinkedIn. Absolutely you shouldn't. You should keep it professional, but it's a great way to actually be able to challenge people online or chip in with something that you might actually be an expert within. It's a great way to stand out online. And I think some of the best posts or content come from when people really do share a good opinion or offer advice for something. It's a really powerful way. And people genuinely engage back with you. So we'll talk in a moment just about with other people engaging on your posts, but people genuinely do. Once they see that you started to show an interest in them, you just become massively on their radar. And we find that we get it back all the time. You know, we'll get likes, we'll get comments, and they're not for the sake of it. They're not a token like and a token comment here. It's genuinely a way to build a relationship with people, you know, online that you wouldn't necessarily be able to get in front of. So it's great for that. And LinkedIn, we definitely won't bore you with the whole algorithms of LinkedIn. I'm sure you've all heard that word, lots popping up around the subject. But basically, LinkedIn needs to know what you like, who you like, and what you want to see more of. So it's exactly like the other social media platforms. You'll find with Facebook and Instagram, the minute you've Googled something, an advert's coming up. It works in exactly the same way on LinkedIn, but it's purely for members' content. So it will always push members' content first over any form of adverts. So you're telling LinkedIn, I've liked Kelly's post, I've commented on her post, I want to see more of what Kelly does. So naturally, you're telling LinkedIn to show you more of that.
You need to think you're friends. Like, it's a
absolutely
silly way to put it, but that's the essence of it. If LinkedIn thinks you're friends, it will know, oh, you want to see each other's content, let's show you more.
Yeah, no, it really, really is. And ultimately, as we keep saying, but it's so important, by you engaging with others online, you are massively putting your company and yourself on a big platform to show everyone who you are and what you do. So we talk about what the importance of engagement, but I appreciate lots of people think, well, what does engagement look like? How do I do that online? So there's just some really quick examples. So if you're going to go to the trouble to write a comment on someone's post, and this is not always necessary, but try and write something detailed, try and write something that actually adds some value to their post. You know, I see lots of posts where people just put, that's great, that's nice. You know, don't bother writing a comment if you're not going to write something that's detailed. So just a really quick example of somebody that works for Tesco locally. They'd posted about holding a skills workshop for people, for some students. I just popped a detailed note on there about how that's just brilliant and it supports our local community, and just a basic example of what engagement should look like when you're writing a detailed comment. Share information as well. Some of you are such industry experts with the worlds that you work in. Share information. Somebody posted recently, this was actually on someone else's post, it wasn't even mine, but I saw that a lady was asking about, I think this was to do with the furlough or something like that back in proper lockdown, but she was asking where the cooling off period was, and I had literally just read some detail about that online, so I thought, oh, I know the answer to that, let me just jump on there and quickly tell her. And this stuff literally takes seconds. She then commented back, she then private messaged me to say, well, thank you so much for your help, Sophie. So again, she knows who I am, what I do, purely by that quick comment. Really, really try and encourage conversation. And again, for people out there who manage teams, this is probably something that you think, oh gosh, I can't have my staff sitting there all day. You know, we don't want them to treat it like Facebook or Instagram and be stuck chatting on there all day, but you really do have to put the work in with encouraging conversation. So if somebody comments on your post, comment them, back, or if it's on another post, ask questions, make sure that people are coming back to and fro with you. The more that they're interested in what you're saying, the more that they're going to be familiar with you. And that whole cycle is just starting to work. You've ticked off that awareness piece, basically. I've just mentioned this, but always respond to comments on your own post. So regardless of what you're posting about, it could be a job, a new product. You could be posting to say, oh, my company have just had an away day. It was fantastic. I've posted a picture of my team. Once people start to comment, there's something that we call the golden hour. And we've been on lots and lots of LinkedIn webinars with some real experts in the industry. And they all really, really talk about this golden hour. So LinkedIn, again, with the whole algorithm thing, it wants to know how successful your post is very quickly. So that will determine how far they push it out to a wider network. So really, really try, if you've posted something online, you've gone to the trouble of doing it, just reply to your comments within that as quickly as you possibly can, basically. And share other people's content. That's a really powerful way to show them that you're interested. This is a post I did a few weeks ago. A lady shared it for me and added a comment on the top. So it's a great way just for visibility. And for those of you that are really busy, likes can be just as powerful. So this is how it will show on my feed that Kelly has liked somebody's content. So again, if you haven't got the time to do writing comments, doing your own content, engagement is just such a great way of getting yourself out there, basically. Right, I'm going to pass over to you, Kelly.
Okay, this is the technical bit where we have to try and get this right, this seamless switch over between. I feel the pressure's on. How's that work?
You're on, yeah.
In. Oh, look at that. Right, okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit now about content. And one of the things, me included, and definitely lots of people that I speak to about LinkedIn, one of the things, the biggest thing that people tend to struggle with is, I want to post, I'm up for it, I'm bought into the idea, but I just don't know what to say. So over the next couple of slides, I want to give you some ideas of things that you can post and things that can create content. I think we all have a tendency to overcomplicate this and overthink it. So this screen here, which actually looks like perhaps a chubby little snowman that's been in lockdown too long, but it's a good illustration of how you can get some inspiration. So if you think about the biggest inspiration for content should be yourself. There's lots of debate about whether on LinkedIn you should post the company you represent or as yourself. And I firmly believe it should be as yourself. People get to know people. It's really hard to get bought into a logo, but it's really easy to get bought into a person or a personality. So your own LinkedIn page is your own. Of course, your companies may have guidelines as to what you can and can't do. So I wouldn't, check that out with your own company first. But as a general rule of thumb, your LinkedIn page represents you. If people like you and like your content, they'll want to get to know you. If they want to get to know you, they will want to use Sophie's terminology, they will want to buy what you sell. Now, it doesn't mean necessarily physically buying. It could be to employ you. It could be to come and work for you. It could be to, take up some of the free services you offer, whatever it might be. But your content should come from you. And this is a good illustration of some pillars that you can use to start generating ideas. So if you begin from the 3 pillars, it could be something personal about the things that kind of underpin your personal values, your personal interests. It could be things that you're passionate about, or your career. Now, and obviously within those 3 things, there can be some pretty serious overlap, but not always, So for me, I'm really passionate about being a role model for my daughters. Now, sometimes that relates to my personal life, being fit and healthy and all of those kind of behaviours, but also it's as having a successful career and working hard. So you can see an overlap there in terms of those things that apply to me. But when you're thinking about content to post relating to those pillars, again, you can overthink it and think, is it going to be interesting to somebody? But a great way to decide whether content is worth posting or not is to think, is it one of these things? Is it engaging? Is it educational? Is it inspiring? Could somebody else relate to it? Or simply could it be entertaining? And if it's any of those things, then post it, because if it's one of those things to you, it will be to somebody else. And we need to try and really remember, behind that screen on LinkedIn, it's just people. They'll work for a company, they'll have a job title, they might be a recruiter, they might be an MD, they might be a CEO. They're just a human being. So those human beings will have personal interests, they'll have hobbies, they'll have children, they'll have things they like to do at the weekend, they'll have a career potentially. So if these things apply to you, they'll apply to lots of other people on LinkedIn too. So hence why we really like to kind of advocate posting your content from a personal standpoint. And naturally you want to be appropriate, and I think that's the distinction, that's the line. It doesn't have to be corporate, it doesn't necessarily have to be about your business. As long as it's appropriate, then go for it. So it can be funny, light-hearted, entertaining, as long as it's not offensive or inflammatory or just wholly inappropriate, then go for it. The other thing on this as well that we've kind of touched on, but I thought it was important to reiterate, is don't be afraid to share your secrets. and I don't mean the skeletons in your closet from, you know,
Definitely not.
your professional secrets, share them. You know, this is your chance to show off about being the expert. Don't think for a second that because you've taught someone or told someone how you do what you do on LinkedIn that they're going to go away and do it for themselves. They won't. They'll know that you're the expert, and that when they need an expert in your field, they will come to you. So don't hide the good stuff, you know, like share it. That's brilliant content. Some other ideas just to help you. So that's a kind of overview of where content can come from, but just some kind of overview ideas. You can sign up to blogs. So if there's something you're passionate about or something related to your career, sign up to blogs. That will help give you some inspiration of things that you can talk about. Create a list, create a book of things that relate to you. So those pillars that I talked about, find out what your personal subject is, what your passions are, what your career is, you know, brainstorm, draw a spidergram, whatever it might be. This is just an example of a post that I wrote about going for a run with my dog. It's not particularly professional or corporate, but lots of people struggle to get out for a run, and lots of people like dogs, and lo and behold, it got really good engagement with a silly picture of Larry on there. Tell a story. LinkedIn is great for this, and like any other platform, it needs to be interesting to read. So if you've got something you want to share and you can do it in a story, then do. There's not a video in here, you'd have to go on my page to find this, but this is just an example of me on a Friday afternoon sharing when I'd made a bit of a monumental mistake on a Friday afternoon. I don't know if any of you've seen it, but I accidentally sent a mail merge. It was about another webinar. Actually, I was promoting a webinar we were doing for candidates about LinkedIn. I'd been talking to one candidate about it, sent him an email saying join the webinar. His name was Harrison. And then when I mail merged it to send it to the rest of the candidates, I forgot to take the Harrison bit out. So I sent it to our whole database calling everybody Harrison. And lots of people had a really, I was mortified. Loads of people had a really serious sense of humour about it though. Lots of people were quite put out. So I had to send apologies. Lots of people thought it was really funny and took the mickey out of me, mostly this lot here.
I'd do it again.
Yeah. But it made a good. I thought, what can I salvage from this? I can get some content for LinkedIn. So that was that video. And definitely follow people that inspire you or make you laugh. So just to extend from what we said earlier, here's an example of one of mine. This is a guy called Mark Gaisford. I'd absolutely recommend him. If you find him on LinkedIn, which you will, follow him. He makes brilliant content, really good videos. A lot of the stuff we've learned from him. I went on a training course that he did. I think it's the last one they did before lockdown back in February or March. He just really cuts out all of the stuff that can complicate this, keeps it really simple, but helps to boost your LinkedIn following and understanding what to post as content. So go and check out Mark. And it's really funny as well. Other things, look for awareness days, talk about how you're feeling, you know, good days, bad days. There was some analysis recently that what people want, that what the appetite for on LinkedIn is positive stuff. So although share the highs and lows of what you do, I would probably try and avoid too much kind of dwelling or moany stuff on LinkedIn. I think there's been enough of that in the world this year. So there seems to be more of an appetite for the good news stuff right now. And don't be afraid to post the good news stuff. Again, there's a bit of debate about, should you be celebrating? I think absolutely we need to celebrate success this year more than ever, I think. So don't be afraid to do that. Posting industry or company blogs, sharing opinion, again, as Sophie said, team photos if you want people to get to know your team and what you're all about, videos, keep them quite short. We all know that in life, humans have a short attention span as it is, particularly on social media. So 60, 90 seconds long, and use subtitles if you can. More now that people are working from home, people have sound on LinkedIn. Going back to the start of this year, there was a stat like something like 90% of people on LinkedIn use it with the sound off. So if you're doing a video, always subtitle it. People can be really uncomfortable about videos. I don't know, can you see the poll thing, Sophie?
No.
Okay, we'll leave that out. But we've had a lot of debate within our team, and video is something we are trying to get more comfortable with using, just because it's not essential to broaden your reach on LinkedIn at all. There are loads of really successful people who've grown a LinkedIn following who've never posted a single video, but there's no doubt that video ramps that up and makes it happen more quickly. Videos get great reach, great following, great engagement. So if you're confident enough to pop a video together, it's the easiest way for people to get to know you. So go for it. Company or personal updates, and going back to what I said before, if it's going on in your life, it's highly likely to tick that relatable box for other people. So go for it with posting that. Hashtags, right, I'll be quick on this because again, I don't want to kind of I'm sure for most of you this is overly simplified, but just simply a hashtag is something that you can use when you're posting on LinkedIn, and it groups posts together. So you put the hashtag sign before a keyword or phrase. Other people who follow that keyword or phrase will then more easily find what you've posted because they know what it's about. So when you're putting a hashtag on a post, avoid spaces, punctuation, that just makes them more difficult to find. Don't overdo it. We've all seen those posts where people have put like 27 hashtags. It doesn't make any sense. So don't do that. LinkedIn recommend 3 per post, and choose broad hashtags over niche ones. So for instance, hashtag marketing versus marketing communication. And I'll show you why in a minute. You want to be using well followed hashtags to maximize. If you're using a hashtag to maximize reach, then make sure you choose a well followed one because then more people will find it. And I'm sorry to be the hashtag police about it because I quite like a funny hashtag as well as the next person. By all means, chuck one on there. Just don't expect a funny one to broaden the reach of your post. And for personalization, when you're on your LinkedIn, you can go and look and follow hashtags that you're interested in, and then that will help you see how all this works. You'll start to see more content about hashtags that you're interested in. You can it's another way to boost the engagement with the people that you want to be talking to. So for example, you can search for hashtags in the main search bar, exactly as Sophie showed you on the previous video when you were searching for a town or a job title. You could just put the hashtag before it and search for whatever you want to. If you search for hashtag marketing, that's what will come up, and you'll see hashtag marketing has got more than 20 million followers. So if you put hashtag marketing at the end of one of your LinkedIn posts, there's a chance that some of those 20 million people are going to see it. Whereas if you put marketing communication, 597 followers. So no doubt a couple of those will see it, but you're not giving yourself as much of a chance by any means as if you'd have just put marketing. Okay, so a bit to sum up, some do's and don'ts. Keep it professional, like I said, as in appropriate, but make it personal. People want to get to know you and like you, and that will drive their interest in what you do professionally rather than the other way around. Oh, I've gone too far. Hold on. There we go. Post regularly, a minimum 3 times a week. If you can post daily, then do it daily. The more regular and consistent you are with this, the more return you're going to see. Build up a list of potential content ideas. It's much easier if you've got a list ready to go of all your next 10 posts you want to write, and then you can just keep them coming and get in the rhythm of doing it, and experiment with it. Don't overthink, I want to post this, but I don't know if it will go down well or not. You won't know unless you do it. If you post something and it gets no engagement, you know that doesn't really work. If you post something and it gets great engagement, then you're off. So the only way is to test and trial and error with the stuff you're posting. The worst thing that can happen is something won't get much reach. That's not that great a risk, really. And encourage your teams to post and engage with your content. Some people advise against this, but honestly, I think if you're trying to grow your audience, you need all the help you can get. You'll often see anything that I post, the other people that work here at Lawrence Dean will jump straight on and comment and like and share. It just helps that golden hour of LinkedIn seeing a post as popular, and then it pushes it out to more people to see it. So get people in your corner to help with that. And as Sophie said earlier, just ask us if you need someone else to give a comment or a share or a like. We'll happily do that to help follow up from this webinar. A couple of don'ts. Don't be afraid to have an opinion. Things that split people's, that divide opinion are going to get more engagement, and that's the end goal, really. Don't overthink it, like we've said. If you're using external links, this is a good tip. You'll notice I did this. If you saw me promoting the webinar on LinkedIn, you'll notice that I did this there. The link to sign up, I would always put in a comment, not in the main post. LinkedIn doesn't like it if it thinks you're trying to drive people away from the platform. So if you're putting a post on there with a link to an external website in it, it's not going to perform as well as if you leave that link out or put it in the comments. And then also don't expect engagement to happen overnight. This is a long-term strategy that will gradually build and snowball. And one day you'll suddenly realize that your views and your engagement has taken off. And then the next step from that is that so will your inbound inquiries. And this is just so true. This is, if you can remember one thing to take from today, done is better than perfect. If you overthink, if you hesitate, you'll never get anything posted on LinkedIn, and then you'll never know what works or not. Just post something, get it done, and then you'll start to build from there. A few useful resources. We're going to put the video of this on our website, so don't worry about trying to remember all of these. You can take a picture of your screen now, I guess, if you want to. Otherwise, we'll send this around afterwards. But there's some good websites there that are really simple and easy to use that we use a lot when we're putting our content together. Either for the graphics, Canva is the one that Sophie mentioned to use to get your banner up there, or little videos. Even the infographic that we did for this webinar was done in Canva. There's some websites there for stock images, so you don't get in trouble for using images you don't have the rights to. Collage Maker. Oh, the GetSubly.com is great for subtitles. Like we said, people don't watch with the sound on, so that GetSubly is an app you can get for free to put subtitles on at no cost. But for inspiration, the Awareness Days calendar is a good one to keep an eye on. And then iMovie on your iPhone, just to knock together easy videos. On that note, though, this is my one sales pitch I'll do today. I promise it's the only one. But if you want to get started in this, you want to post a video, but you're not sure on the mechanics of exactly how to do that, we are very happy to help. We have a really great marketing lady who can put together videos, and we would happily take that on for you if you're looking for an outsourced provider to do videos for you, as a quick example of the kind of things she can do. This has no sound and it's sped up, so if I watch the subtitles I start talking really fast, so I can't do that. This is a video that I put out, and this illustrates some of the stuff we can do if we produce a video for you. So to keep it engaging, keep it interesting, you'll see it's not just me talking to camera. It's got subtitles, it's got graphics in there, it's got the company banner at the bottom. That little bit at the end is called a sting, so it kind of points at the end of the video. We can put one of those together for you. So there's lots of stuff we can do to support if you're interested in an external provider to help with video. That's the sales pitch over. But then I suppose a final recap. Sorry, I'm talking really quickly. I'm just aware of time for you all. But a final recap of everything we've said all kind of contributes to this. At the end of the day, if you want LinkedIn to help you, first of all, you need to connect with people. You need an audience, so get connecting. Once you've got an audience, they're no good if you don't engage with them. So liking, commenting, sharing, get them doing that in return. Then when you post, your reach is going to be far, far greater. And above all, just remember to be patient, be consistent, keep going with it, and it will soon pay off.